everyone. Welcome to the Hanguiando series. And today we have someone that we've been wanting to have on the show for a long time, but he's always a little busy. He's all around town eating. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we have George, Mr. Eats 305.
Thank you.
In the house. We actually have him in the studio today.
Oh, yeah.
So we are really happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a while that we wanted to have you.
Yes.
And I feel we should be eating while we're having this interview.
Oh, yeah. I brought coffee.
You brought coffee.
That's all I can do.
We should have brought croquetas or something like that. And
I had one in the car, but I ate it myself. So
okay.
I was on me. I was selfish.
You just had one?
That's only one. Bro.
I was like, well, I mean, this is what you do. Actually, you know what? Before we start anything, how do you do it? How are you like in good shape? And
I like how you said not like great shape. He's like good shape.
Like
Mahomeno. Like you eat, I can tell, but bro, it's gotten to a point where what I do, I love it, but I see it as work.
Yeah.
So there are times when I'm working at a restaurant and I am trying the entire menu. So I take a bite of each thing and then, pack it up. If I find hungry on the street, give it to them. I have staff that works with me. I bring it home to my wife, family, friends, whoever. The food doesn't go to waste.
Right.
But at that time, I do not eat more than I need to eat for the job. And the days that I'm not eating and sitting in front of a camera, I'm trying to eat healthier.
Right.
And then plus working in an active lifestyle, going to the gym, doing HIIT classes at Legacy, playing basketball when I can.
Right.
And like that to keep it all balanced. It's not easy.
Yeah, because a lot of your content, as you were saying, a lot of times you try a lot of dishes. So even if you have a couple of bites of each thing, it's like still,
it adds up.
It adds up.
Yeah, this doesn't happen overnight. Like
the calories are coming, and I always see that. I'm like, man, I wish I had that discipline that I could have all this delicious food. So what you're saying is that the people around you, your family and your friends, they eat well.
Oh, everyone eats well. Yeah,
they eat well. They eat well. Look at and then what's great is that it's probably like really different every day. So you never know what you're gonna get. So something I actually really wanted to bring up with you, because I think that everybody now, they know you. You're one of the biggest food influencers down here in South Florida, and you work with national brands as well. So everybody knows the guy, and they see this finished product, if you will. But take us back a little bit to the beginning, because you know what? I've always known of you. Like I don't remember when you had like, let's say 10,000 followers or something like that. How did this all start? Where did the idea really come from?
Yeah. So I appreciate it. I mean, it definitely didn't happen overnight, but it started in 2016 when my wife and I, when we first started dating, we just loved going out to eat. And 2016, I don't know if people are listening are old enough, but if you are and you were on Instagram, you got more than 10 likes and the names disappeared and you felt like you were Kim Kardashian or something, like you were someone famous. And we decided to open up the page to help our friends find good spots and just kind of like have a little photo album of our adventures.
Right.
Nothing more than that, other than an escape and a hobby. That was at a time where I was prepping to go to law school. And once I got into law school, it was then my side hustle, a little escape from the books. We still loved going on the weekends. And throughout law school, 3 years, built it up little by little. As the app grew, the page grew. It seemed to get more structure of what the goals were, what we were trying to do, what we were realizing, how we can turn this into a business.
You were sort of defining what would eventually be the brand.
Exactly. So by the time I graduated and I sat for the bar, and in that time where you find out the results, it's like 2 or 3 months.
The longest 2 or 3 months of your life. But
I was like, all right, let me structure out some sort of business plan where if I hit these goals and markers, I have something to stand on to tell my parents or just prove it to myself that this is actually a good place to start a business. Right. As a business, because it already had been started in 2016.
I love how you said tell my parents, because
it's true.
As every good Cuban boy knows,
if you weren't an accountant or doctor or lawyer, like you weren't successful,
Pero tú estudiaste abogado para ahora tener fotos de comida.
Exactly. And still to this day, like it's hard to wrap your head around because it's not easy for anyone to see it as a business and how to turn it into a business that is profitable and valuable. Because there's a difference for sure.
I feel your pain. Like I went to law school too, and I did the law thing. And my parents still aren't sure what podcasting is 8 years later. Yeah. They're like, algo que tú tienes ahí, and I'm like, anyway. And you know what? Now that I think about it, you said 2016. This was at a time where Instagram videos were what, 30 seconds or not even?
I don't even think like I wasn't even doing videos in that first year. So
It
I
was
was
like
just
the
doing
grainy pictures,
still photos with a iPhone, whatever, 10.
Yeah.
And then little by little got myself a better camera. Then it came into nice photos. Then, oh, let me get in the kitchen because I have a platform now to like show to these places and create videos of the chefs making behind the scenes and doing those types of videos
Right.
into those were like 30-second videos.
Right.
Into when Reels was launched, that took it to the next level.
Right. Right. Yeah, because I mean, look, like even in 2016, that social media had been around for a while. At that point, you still didn't know how, if this was even a thing, right?
Oh no.
It's funny because we had a couple of weeks ago, Belkis Naray here.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, oh yeah, you're the OG food influencer and you didn't even know it, right?
Her story's great. I listened to it. It was amazing.
Because when she was doing a bite with Belkis, who knew that was going to be a thing ever, right? And here you were doing this and it just took off.
Yeah.
You know?
And 30 years later, she's still in that scene. And it's amazing.
Yeah. And when did you realize that it's like, okay, because you were saying that, you know, you were waiting on your bar results and, you know, if you wanted to go, because that's a really big decision, right?
Of course.
After all the time and money and blood, sweat, and tears of going to law school, I still cry about it.
Don't remind me. Yeah.
You know, that's a really, it's not like you quit, you know, your day job to go do this. This was like a major life decision. When did you decide, or where were you at with the brand that you were like, okay, I'm going to take this, I mean, really big leap of faith and go towards this?
Well, like what I had said, once I hit those benchmarks in that 2 or 3 month span, I posted 35 videos in a 45-day span, and not videos of the like boeria, just videos with value that gained about 10 to 15,000 followers in that 45-month span.
That's
landed 2 big brand partnerships that matched, if not surpassed, my starting salary at the firm that I was going to work at.
Wow.
Whether you call it luck,
the decision was made.
Stars aligning, higher power, whatever it was, it seemed like the decision was made for me, thankfully, due to the hard work that was put in that time span, and obviously prior to that.
So this was obviously before the pandemic.
No, after.
This was after 2021. 2021. Okay, so after the pandemic. Because during the pandemic, obviously nobody was going anywhere. And you were going strong. So
no, I mean, I was studying for the bar exam. So I was actually like losing followers during 2020. Like, silver lining for me with COVID was, as the whole world kind of paused, so did my page.
Right.
It wasn't like a lot of eyes. Yeah.
The timing worked on your behalf.
It worked out in the track that I wanted to go with the brand, because there's other creators who were doing the same thing that I do now. However, they felt like, all right, let me shift to recipes, or let me shift to something that still people can watch at home all over the world, and lean more into that rather than local restaurants. Because at that time too, it was harder to find and put a number and value what those videos were doing for the restaurants.
Right. Because I mean, it was literally uncharted territory. But I guess the timing, you are right in terms of planets aligning, because, you know, you obviously, not that it took a back seat, but you were focusing on school and in the bar and all that. But you already had the brand there. Yeah. So then once COVID sort of fizzles out, thank God, and we come back strong, your brand was already there. And then it just, you know, took you to the next level.
Totally. The brand and more importantly, the reputation. So in the first 4 years, I guess, prior to COVID, as I said, it was a side hustle hobby. I wasn't responding to free invitations for food. I wasn't doing this. I was just like, on a weekend, if I wanted to go to a place, I'm going to pay and I'm going to do my thing and make a video if I wanted to, if the place was good. So a lot of chefs noticed that, a lot of business owners, a lot of people in the community noticed that. And I was then able to understand what value I was bringing to those restaurants before I started like charging, when I felt like they had a marketing budget and we can work together. That's where it is now. Now we can get there. When we can get there, we're going to talk about it now. But how it works is people reach out, local restaurants. If we do a filtering process of the restaurant, if I feel like they're not putting any effort into their social media, into Google Google reviews, Yelp reviews, I'm looking at all that. And if they're not responding to bad ones or trying to be hospitable to those people who left bad reviews and make up for it, I'm not even going to give it a shot or respond to the email. If I do see that they're trying and it aligns with the brand, if it's, you know, if it's a super, super girly place that I organically would not go to because they serve brunch and I don't really care for really brunch because I just like going and getting coffee in the mornings and that's about it. I'm not going to go to that place organically. So I'll tell them that like, hey, listen, our brands don't really align. So thank you next.
I think I may know what place you're talking about. Without naming names, there's a restaurant I went to last year that there's a lot of pink. And I'm like, this restaurant was made for like Instagram.
Yeah, and that's not for me. I'm food first, feed second, you know?
It's like there's so many hashtags everywhere and like the neon lights and look, if that's your shtick, great. You know, that's your shtick, that's fine.
It's just not mine.
Yeah.
So
but you know what? You said something that I think is really interesting, that obviously when certain places reach out to you, because obviously if they have somebody like you come in and it's a transaction, they expect certain results, but you also can't create like magic, you know, if as you said, the reviews aren't there, they don't have a social media presence, like, you know, you can't.
Yeah. And thankfully I have such a good community that when I do post about something, they do and go support. So if I feel like the restaurant would not be ready for an increase or in people and foot traffic and all that, I wouldn't visit that restaurant until maybe a quarter or two down the line to be able to make sure they deal with those growing pains.
Right.
So when a new restaurant opens, I'm not running over there to make a post. I'll run over there to try it, see how they can get better. If they're a friend or they've been in the game for 20 years, then I trust them.
Right.
But if it's Fulano,
they were like a pop-up or something like that they were known.
If they have their audience and they've been in it for years, like then I know it's trusted.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different situation.
Yeah.
Something that you did actually, I think it was last year, that I really liked, and I don't know if it was strategic or is that, you know, in this day and age now that times are tough, you know, things are just out of hand. Like sometimes you go to these restaurants and like the bill is like crazy. It's a car payment, right? And I'm not even talking about like, you know, because certain restaurants, you know, you're going to spend a lot of money in, but just talking about like just, you know, nice restaurants. You did a series of posts, which I loved, about fritangas. And I thought that was so, again, I don't know how strategic, if it was just you wanting to do fritangas or you really thought about it. Because I was like, damn, fritanga is one of those last places where you could go for like $15 or under $20, get una completa with like food for like the whole family.
Yeah. So I love fritanga caña brava. I said that so gringo. Brava.
Caña brava.
Jeez. And I was noticing on the page that I was leaning too Cuban or too whatever it may be, and I wasn't diversifying myself to things that I genuinely love doing and going to. So while I was eating there one time, I'm like, why am I not recording myself eating this? And then I also brought back to my wife, like, hey, look, there's extra carne asada. Like,
there's always extra carne asada.
So I'm like, let me go and check out the rest of them and see which ones were the favorites. And that was more of the intention of diversifying the portfolio and the cuisines on the platform rather than the bang for buck. But that always is in the back of my mind. If it's, I'm not going and trying to find the best porterhouse steak.
Right.
And I want something that's approachable and accessible and familiar to all walks of life.
Yeah. I think that's important because it's, you know, it's really sexy, obviously, to have all this like really nice content and like a Carbone or like, you know, some of these like really nice popular restaurants, but that's not necessarily the reality for everyone.
No.
But fritanga is, and they're queso frito.
And you can eat it every week and be fine, you know? Like,
and you know what I like about fritangas especially is that, you know, even though there's inflation and this and that, it's over a shitload amount of food. Like, it's like, wow, like gallo pinto for the week, you know? I always say it's like, I don't mind, you know, obviously you're not going to pay for something now what you paid for even 5 years ago. I don't mind paying more. Just don't give me less food, you know.
Shrinkflation plus inflation.
Exactly. Charge me more. That's fine. Charge me more. But, you know, something I really actually was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about the most, because, you know the food scene well, so down here so well, is, you know, right now, obviously, this could be a 1 hour conversation, but we won't go there. You know, Miami, I
have time. People are listening.
Well, no, about, you know, like Miami, you know, so many people coming down from Miami, from New York and other places, and changing the identity of Miami. And you see so many of these restaurants now popping up here, like a Carbone, a Papi Steak, and so on and so forth. And you see so many people saying, oh, this is where we're going, and this is where we're hanging out, and this is like the lit place. And that's fine. You know, those restaurants are good. But what are your thoughts on that in terms of these, it's not even chains, but these restaurants that are very identifiable and have a reputation and people really aspire to go to, sort of filling up that landscape down here?
I think there's room for everyone, man. I think like they're opening in places that make sense for them. You know, if they opened in Kendall, I'd be like, what are you doing? Get out of here.
Yeah.
But they're opening up in
That's Finka territory.
Miami Beach. Yeah, leave. In Miami Beach, have you been?
Yeah.
I've been once, and I eat for a living, and they've been open for 5 years now.
Right. 5 years. Wow.
More or less. You know, I'm assuming 2020.
Yeah.
So I think it accelerated where Miami was going to go in the food space and elevated the competition. Not that everyone's trying to be better than everyone, but I think it did bring more eyes down to Miami and help elevate the scene, knowing that there are these big dogs coming into town where we have been able to fight back and surpass them, you know, with people like Sonny's or a restaurant like Sonny's, vice versa. Eileen with everything she's doing and all of our local talent. Like, to me, I welcome it. There's a place for everyone out there. I'm going to stay going to Finka and Sonny's and all the local spots, you know?
Right. We love Eileen here.
Oh, yeah.
Eileen's great. And Finka is such a, you know, Finka is one of these places that like, it's not only that it's good, but it's a vibe, but just where it's at.
Yeah.
It's so, you know, it's so instrumental where it's at. You could have this like really cool meal in this really cool place in, you know, West Kendall or
Croqueta County, because it's like
no, but you know, I wanted to ask you that because I think about that all the time. Like right now, Miami's identity is so, we're really being tested, right? And you know, we've talked about that on the show before. You know, Miami's always been a city of immigrants, and every group that has come has added to the fabric of it. But what's happening now is very different, right? You know, it's developers and money and all that coming, and that's usually what sort of shapes or could even kill culture. So as you know, as you said, like these big dogs coming down here, it's fine. It's great. You know, it's, I guess the quotas you need for like a big city or an international city. But I worry that it's like, okay, but is this what people are going to think the Miami food scene is?
That is a worry of mine. Like there's more to Miami than South Beach.
Yeah.
And I think people, if they want a true definition, they need to do their due diligence of exploring the Miami food scene more than just those outposts, newcomer restaurants. Yeah. Totally. That's always in the back of my head lingering, but I know that there's so much more to Miami still to this day that it's just people just have to keep driving out west.
Like Versailles.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny how like Versailles, I mean, Versailles is an icon and an institution, but like I always laugh when, you know, like un americano from the Midwest is like, Versailles, I heard it's really good. And I'm like, yes, it's not French food.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most famous Cuban restaurant in the world. They have it literally printed on their sign, and it's true.
Kind of is.
It is.
It is, you know, I mean, there's obviously a million Cuban restaurants to choose from, but I would imagine that, yeah, if you're like from up north and you come down here, you just really got to go there. I mean, at least once, at least
the Ventanita.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I think you'll catch most locals at the Ventanita.
You know that I'm glad you mentioned Ventanita. Again, it's one of those things that when you are raised around that, you take it for granted. You don't think about it. The fact that Ventanitas only exist here.
It's crazy.
I remember when I realized that, or somebody said that, I was like, wait, what? And then I thought about, like, I went to school in Michigan. I'm like, there was no Ventanitas there. Like, is it a cold thing? But then you realize, okay, I've been all around the country. It's like, there's no Ventanitas. Like, and here it's like, you don't even think about it. And it's Ventanita culture.
Yeah. I don't mind getting out of the car, spending 20 minutes there, drinking my coffee, or taking it to go however long it takes, getting back in the car, rather than sitting in a drive-through.
Yeah.
You know, waiting for coffee, like if it's Starbucks. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. How personal is that?
Exactly. No, I want to be like flirting with the 80-year-old woman calling me mi niño and mi vida, and like, I'm like, oh, I think she likes me. Like, I need to come back tomorrow. You know, I feel bad. I'm gonna let her down.
Or just sitting there or standing there and just listening to the stuff people around you are saying.
Oh, incredible. It's
like,
incredible.
It's like, coño. Like, wow. And you're just there, you know,
That's at every Ventanita, but at Versailles, it's like next level.
Yeah, or La Carreta. La Carreta, 87th and Bird Road.
I live across the street now, and like that is at all times of day, people are there, and I'm like,
you're a Westchester guy.
Oh yeah,
so am I. Southwest.
Nice.
Southwest in your eye.
Whoa.
It's funny because like I remember growing up in Westchester, I was like, oh, this sucks. But it's one of those things. I think you need distance and time. That it's like, this is the shit, you know, and that whole area there, the corridor of between the Palmetto and like 112, like 112, let's say Bird Road. There's so many icons there. And
I feel like one is one of the most historic restaurant streets to eat at because you have Frankie's, Arbetters, all the classics right there. And not only are they classics, but they're good. Yeah. Like there are not that many pockets that are so condensed with so many great spots in Miami. Like you have them up northwest, like Miami Gardens, and Miami Shores. There are actually some little pockets of classic gems like that. Little River now has a good one, but I'm biased. That one's my favorite.
You know, well, they closed now, so I guess we could talk about them. Whose idea was it to open that Nathan's, you know, just 1,000 feet from Arbetters? Like, did they know what they were doing?
I don't know what happened there. I rather just like, I don't know what they were doing, man.
I mean, I realize Nathan is a brand, but obviously there wasn't anybody in those conversations saying like, hey, like you're practically across the street from like the institution, right?
Yeah, and it's not like hot dogs are this thing that people crave all the time. That all right, you know, if we have another sub shop across the street, like good variety, we need, you know, it's something different. This is like hot dogs and corn dogs and fries. Like it's not that people are going every week. I mean, some people are, I don't know if. But yeah, and it's an icon. I don't know what people are doing.
Yeah.
Opening that.
I every time like we see Dave Arbetters, I'm like, thank you for keeping this alive, you know, in your little yellow trailerish thing. And it's funny because I mean everybody has memories. Like I remember being a kid, you know, from Westchester, going to Arbetters, and you know, you need time and distance to realize how special things are. Yeah. The same thing with Frankie's, like. And the thing about Frankie's that I love is that there really isn't another pizza like it.
No.
I mean, they're similar. I mean, what would you say? It's sort of like a
Sicilian-ish pizza because it's not as like dense as Detroit style.
Yeah.
But it's not as like crispy as New York style or like Sicilian style.
It's Frankie's style.
It's Frankie's. Order it half baked and finish it off at home, and like it's gonna be crunchy and crispy. Anyone that does it otherwise, like you might think it's mediocre, and that's because you're not ordering it right.
Yeah, Frankie's is good to have in the parking lot.
Oh, that too. But if you need to eat it either right there, because the second you take it home, and it's already done, like it's not going to be as good.
Yeah. Dude, that's the struggle with our wings with being pampollo because they're double fried. And when people order them to go, I'm like, do you want the sauce on the side? Like I'm telling you, I make them do the sauce on the side and then put them in the air fryer, and then
if not, it gets soggy.
You know, but people do what they want to do. Yeah, Frankie's Pizza outside with an RC Cola.
Beautiful.
So tell me, what is a day in Mr. Eats? Like, I know you have a lot of different things, and we'll get to all of them, but just, you know, with your main, you know, just you reviewing restaurants, how does that process go? Because I mean, obviously we know you have collaborations and restaurants that reach out to you, but you obviously still scout out restaurants to go to. So what does that look like for you?
I'd say 75% of my posts are still organic, me going on my own and paying, or if not, they recognize me and they offer, but like it's not with any intent to be getting free anything or them offering to pay. Every day is different with Mr. Eats. However, I still need to structure myself as a business. Right. So Mondays and Tuesdays, I try to keep that for clean eating, a lot of water, housekeeping, editing, you know, the ugly stuff.
Right. Those days you're George.
That day I am George. I'm thinking with my attorney cap on, negotiating, doing those types of things, and trying to get ahead of the week as much as I can. Wednesday and Thursday, that's when I try to schedule collaboration, partner posts with local restaurants that invite me in. That's where I'm going and making content, working with them, doing things like that. And I do want to make a note to everyone listening. I get a lot more invites than I do that I say no to than I do say yes to. So I'd say I say no to about 75 to 80% of the places that invite me. and then because it goes through the filtering process, doesn't line, all those things to make sure that it still is good. Then I have a subjective clause, create an agreement with the place who's offering to pay and in exchange for deliverables, that if I don't like the food, I do not feature the food, take the money I offer to pay, and they don't get posted after going if it's the first time going.
So that's happened?
It happens.
We're not going to name names.
No, and I don't talk about after COVID and after everything and understanding having a business. I understand things happen.
Yeah.
Not that they're bad, but I had a bad experience.
Right.
So if I had a bad experience, I don't want my followers having bad experiences. Right. So I don't share them, but I don't talk bad about them.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a classy act.
It doesn't happen that often where I can not post anything. What happens more often than not is after I try 15 items from the restaurant, I'm only posting 6.
Okay.
Not that the other ones are bad, but they're subpar compared to the 6 that I'm highlighting.
Right.
And
Fair enough.
And that's how I normally do it, because I'm also not posting a 2-minute video talking about 15 dishes.
But that's also really realistic. I mean, even in the best restaurants, there's things, not that even that they're misses, but they're just like, meh.
No, or it's my subjective palate.
Right.
I might like more fried food than the average person, so I might like the chicken wings more than the crudo.
Right.
But if someone really likes crudo, go for it.
Right.
You know, and you might like it more than me. And that's usually how that happens. So those are Wednesdays and Thursdays. Fridays, Saturdays, even Sunday afternoon sometimes, I'm going out on my own and reviewing whatever I want to review, whether it's finding the best fritanga, and we try to visit, 4 fritangas in one day, or the next. Oh, that's nothing. When I do the best New York style pizza, I think the most we did like 10 or 11 slices.
I want to get to the pizza. That's a whole other segment.
Yeah, I think we did like 10 or 11 slices in one day to compare them, and we tried 40 in total, which that took months, because if you go to 10 spots every day, that's already 1 month on a Fridays.
Yeah.
So that was that. It's a lot of
pizza. I mean, we love pizza.
One bite.
So to these places that you go to that you go on your own. I mean, obviously some places maybe that are, as we mentioned a little while ago, that maybe were a pop-up or they were moving locations and now they open another location. Those obviously, they kind of answer for themselves. But you what? Like, you do research online? Do you, like, how do you find these places? Because, there's just so many of them.
Oh yeah. It's in those spots on Fridays where I'm going. It's more than just Fridays, but we'll just call it Fridays. I have a running list that I just keep updated from things that I see from other creators or friends, or Fulano on the street told me that he recognized me on Instagram and his favorite local spot is actually this place and I had never heard of it. So those are things that I add to my like running list that I always update internally. The places that I need to visit. And that's kind of like how I come up with the next organic kind of ideas of who to visit and what to visit. So if I have 3 fritangas on that list, I'm thinking, okay, let me just create
that's a lot of queso frito in one day,
or like a lot of coffee pop-ups like are happening. So all right, let me do. I think Evie the foodie, another creator, a good friend of mine, she did 4 coffee pop-ups going on right now, and I'm like, oh, it's a great idea. I had that come in and I just highlighted one. I'm like, you can keep doing it. It's great.
Evie's great. We met Evie at Sobe. Her and her boyfriend.
Yeah, fantastic.
They were great. Because I always wonder, I mean, there's just so much. And I mean, I know you have a wide variety of different restaurants you go to, but I'm like, man, and you've been to a lot of them. So it's like, you've been to so many of them that it's like, and you don't really repeat content.
No. I try not to repeat it. I repeat it if I really love them. And, for me to go to a restaurant 2 or 3 times, the same restaurant in a year, it means like I'm obsessed with that place, especially dinner.
Yeah.
Lunch, it's a little bit easier. I'll put that number at like 7 or 8 times in a year.
Yeah.
But I try to do everything once, spread the love. Don't post the same place twice, even if they're offering, because thankfully they do have like a good impact when I do visit. So obviously they're calling again saying like, when can you come again? And I'm like, listen, I love you. I think your place is great. I'm going to put you on my map. So when people need recommendations, they can check the map, but it's not just about you. There's thousands of restaurants who may be doing well, hurting, or just need to be discovered and shared with my audience. And that's kind of the position that I take.
What do you, whether it's as Mr. Eats, the brand, or just somebody who goes to a lot of restaurants, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges with so many restaurants nowadays, and so many restaurants unfortunately closing.
Mm-hmm. There's many challenges. Biggest one, depending where you're at, rent.
Yeah.
It getting too expensive. Consistency. How do you stay consistent? Also, with your prices when eggs are getting more expensive. If you're a bakery, like I think Sweet Licks cookie spot on US 1, they posted a video that in 2020 the box of eggs that they order cost them, I think, like $55 for that box, and now today in 2025 that same exact box costs them roughly $130.
Right. And how can you not
raise the price on your cookies? And like, you can, so that's definitely a big struggle. And employees also. Employees, because overhead, staff and training them. If you're having a heavy turnaround, you're not going to have the same level of service to the person who started 2 weeks ago versus the person that's been there for months.
Of course. It's just, rent is one of the things that like I hear time and time again. That and the damn grease trap.
Yeah, that's a nightmare. Permits is definitely up there, and getting like,
it's funny because like I would love to have the mayor one day, Mayor Cava on, and that's gonna be one of my questions.
For sure.
I'm gonna be like, Mayor, like I know a lot of people in the industry. Like, what can we do about the grease traps? Because that's like every restaurateur siempre está jodiendo with the grease trap.
The lottery that exists for that liquor license. They need to start doing that for grease traps.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of controversy here.
Oh, brother.
You've had some lists, right? And lists sometimes are subjective. Sometimes people take lists way too seriously. It's like,
tell me about it.
Especially, it's not like you're saying like, okay, if your place is not on here, it sucks. You're not even saying that, right?
No. But
people take these lists really, really seriously. And, I guess you could joke around with it a little bit and be like, oh yeah, you forgot, whatever place. But your pizza list is pretty controversial.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not done on purpose. That list, which I've done now for 3 or 4 years in a row, is specifically New York style. So that's
what I wanted to ask you. Okay, so tell our listeners or our viewers, okay, what is the methodology on your, well, I mean, I guess all your lists, but your pizza list, like, how do you go through it?
So when it first started, I've always loved New York style. My parents are from New York. Like, I grew up every Friday eating New York style pizza. They would try different spots every Friday. We'd go to Blockbuster, watch a movie. Yeah.
Good times.
Great times. And now to this day, that's still my preferred slice. Not anything bad about Neapolitan, Sicilian, Detroit, Chicago, you name it, every single style.
I completely agree with you. There's something magical of a simple New York style pizza.
The way it feels in my hand.
Yeah.
It's just like, it feels right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Detroit pizza lover because I went to law school up in Michigan. So I was exposed to like the real thing and I love it. But a simple cheese slice.
Yeah. Or just that crunch, the amount of sauce cheese ratio to the length, the dimensions, the crunch. Like when it's done right,
he knows what he's talking about.
It's yeah.
Look how technical he got over a slice of pizza.
I can talk about this, but not in a lot of detail. But I was retained to be a expert in a case about pizza.
Were you going to get those expert witness fees?
Yes, I did. I wrote a 40-page report on.
So for those of you who are not into law, those of us who are, being an expert witness is quite possibly the greatest job on earth. You charge like $1 million an hour. Many times transportation is involved. Your stay is involved to talk about something you're an expert on. So I would always joke around with my friends. I'm like, I need to become an expert in something.
Which for this case,
this is great.
They lined me up to be a pizza expert and social media expert and talk two different reports, part A and part B, on both of those.
Listen, I think that was probably the moment that you were like, I made it. Like, I'm an expert witness.
Yeah.
But go on.
So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to, I can say I'm an expert, quote unquote,
and
technically.
You can charge for it.
Yeah. For pizza. If it wasn't the body that shows like this guy's been raised on croquetas and pizza, like it's the invoice.
Exactly. So obviously, I mean, it's your top 10, right? But
yes.
You probably have what, like 20, 30, 40?
I tried like 40 plus spots in a span of months. And throughout the course of the year, you go to a spot and you're like, oh, I need to come back here when I'm reviewing my top 10 because like this is a contender.
Right.
So you always keep those places in mind, and I post it on National Pizza Day or whatever those made up food holidays are, solely for the algorithm, not to feed into, no pun intended, to enjoying or celebrating that holiday, but just for the hope that it reaches more people,
Right.
and more people can support these restaurants.
Right. Yeah, the pizza one. I
Or
love
talk
your
shit.
pizza. Or talk shit.
Yeah.
I love your pizza one. I recently discovered Steve's Pizza, but the one down south.
Yeah.
And I love that it's still, I mean, I'm not saying it's the greatest pizza ever, but I'm just saying it's a solid slice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 2 slices and a drink is like $11 or
No, it's
something.
fantastic.
Like you can't beat that.
Oh yeah, every place, every neighborhood should have their local pizza spot.
Yeah.
I think if that's the one that's in your corner and it does a job, that should be your favorite.
Yeah.
For me, I'm all over Miami, and I'm going to visit from Homestead all the way to Aventura. Right. So I'm going to try those 45 that I discovered or found or tried and tasted, and I'm just going to make the list from those.
Yeah. Yeah. Lists are so wild. Like it's funny because like, you know, since we do chicken wings from Pim Pam Pollo, whenever there's chicken wing lists, and I mean, I understand that we're a pop-up, so we don't have the same exposure as a restaurant. And whenever there's like a wing list and we're not on it, I open up Pim Pam Pollo's account and it's like, what the hell just happened? And then it's like all these notifications, and I'm like, I appreciate the love, people. Yeah. I appreciate it, but you know, it's a list. Like, come on.
Yeah,
know?
And it's subjective.
Yeah, no, and they're supposed to be fun or whatever. You know, it's not like life and death. It's like come and say.
And what I like doing in the caption of those videos is shining light to the map that gives the full recommendation of all my favorite recommendations for pizza.
Let's talk about the map.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the Mr. Eats map, because I believe there's like, you know, it should be like Google Maps and Mr. Eats maps. You need an app for that.
Thank you. Like whoever's a developer and all that, we're looking right now for it.
You already have your color scheme, your logo,
everything.
You know?
From design, we got to figure it out. I'd rather go with a local Miami brand, an app developer, than like shipping it overseas and getting someone for cheaper. I mean, if you're cheaper, that's fantastic. But the idea of the map was at its core the same mission statement that the page had, helping people find great spots as easy and as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I realized that since I do post a lot on Instagram, a lot of restaurants that you may see the video can get lost in the feed.
Yeah. That was something that happened to me the other day.
Yeah. So I thought, let me find some sort of software that can have the map, and I can embed all my recommendations and add them manually, take them down, bring them up, put whatever comments I need, notes, where people can go, see their location, craving pizza, pizza in Wynwood, narrow it down there. And that's what the map is right now, where people can find it on my website, mreats305.com.
And I mean, I've used it, and you really are everywhere.
It's all of Miami-Dade County.
Yeah, it's not just a little niche or a little area like that. And it's funny because when I've looked through it, maybe I went looking for something in specific, but then I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to go there, because there's just so much that you don't even sometimes know. It's sort of like when you're going through Netflix, it's like you want to watch something and you don't know what you're going to watch, because there's just so much. That the same happens with food. It's like, you know, there's so much that's like, where do I even start? But then sometimes you think you want to go one route, and then you see something else and all that.
Definitely. And I think it'll get better once there is an app and more polished and a little bit easier for people to find exactly what they're looking for.
Right.
Right now, it's just kind of like 600 plus spots that I've tried and really recommend. It sounds like it's a lot and like, oh, he just likes everything. It's like, no, bro, there's thousands of restaurants in Miami, and 600, if you think 40 coffee shops, 50 burgers, 50 pizza, we're already at 140 spots right there. So
what is, I mean, you know, if it's a restaurant, you could say the restaurant.
Yeah.
If you don't want to say the restaurant, it's fine. What is your favorite meal? Something that you've had that, because we all have that meal, or a few meals that we've had that it's like, wow, years later, months later, you're like, I still remember that meal.
I don't know if it's a specific meal, like where there's a dish, but experience, I guess, that it's hospitality. There's been a few great ones. Sonny's, the first time going there was fantastic. Vice versa. There's always been great experiences when I go there. Boyade, I've had good experiences there that are very memorable, and I'm like, all right, I'm itching to go back. Surf Club, at
Surf Club.
in
That's an OG.
Surfside. Those 4 or 5, Luca Otteria, Giorgio's Italian spot.
La patata brava. Oh my God.
You know, but I'm a simple guy, man. Like I love going to a Ventanita, getting a croqueta, and maybe going to a pizza spot right after. Like having that mix of different spots in Miami. It's more for me just like changing up and the experience. I'm not this guy that if I love a spot, I'm going every Friday.
Right.
I'm always trying to find like a new thing.
I forget now because again, you have so much for better for worse. You have so much content that sometimes I forget. Have you done a top croqueta one?
So in COVID, I think it was, I used to do kind of like instead of the pizza reviews, croqueta reviews, where I would give it like an A+.
But like a top 10 list?
Not than a top 10.
I think for your safety, you probably shouldn't do one.
Exactly. I thought about it.
That's a whole other level of crazy.
Bro, that will take a year.
Yeah.
A year of production.
And whatever you do is not going to be,
I mean, and what would be crazy is like not giving Y La Canaria first place.
You know, the thing about Y La Canaria is that you can make the argument that Y La Canaria is overhyped, but it is really the best.
Period.
Because, you know, sometimes things are overhyped and you have them and you're like, it's good. But, you know, there's others that are good. Y La Canaria really is, in terms of the classic croqueta, they really are the best. And like, there's some other really fire croquetas out there that I love. I love Dos Croquetas.
I love Dos Croquetas.
I love them. And what I love about Dos Croquetas is like the variety, you know.
Buffalo chicken or whatever it may be. But if we're just doing ham de la casa.
Classic.
Chantilly Bakery by Belen, the one on 8th Street and 127th.
You put that recently. I saw that.
Because like I would go there when I was at Belen and I was in the area. I'm like, let me pop in and grab a bite. Incredible pan con huite. That would make a top 5 a pan con huite anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's there where Y La Canaria, it's like, are you that good that you should just be like, obviously we all know this is the best, so let's give the number 1 spot to someone else. Yeah. Type of place. Yeah. It's such a signature and distinct taste that I think that's what really separates them. Yeah. So I get where people think it might be overhyped.
It's funny. We love Croqueta Palooza. We love Seth. We love Croqueta Palooza. I tell Seth all the time, I'm like, bro, you need to bring Croqueta Palooza back. Mm-hmm. You know, they have a croqueta eating contest.
I've been in one in like Calle Ocho, like in 2018 or 2019.
Oh, you're brave.
Oh no, I didn't try. I tried hard for the first 3 croquetas, and after that, I was like, I'm gonna slow down. I'm not gonna win this.
But in Croqueta Palooza, they have a croqueta eating contest sponsored by Y La Canaria, and you know these people are like, you know, they know what they're doing, so they're like, you know, putting them in drinking water. And I'm like,
mush all over the face,
I'm like, you're ruining a perfectly good Y La Canaria croqueta. Can we do this with like the microwavable ones? I like the cheap ones. Yeah. But like this is like, perfectly good Y La Canaria croqueta. They really are the best, and they're consistent.
Yeah, they've really kind of honed in on it, and it's great. But if I were to make that top 10, man, it would be so tough on timing, my waistline, everything.
You would have to go to the witness protection program because whatever you do, whatever you put up there, that is going to be like, rage.
Yeah. The thing is, like, there's also so much variety when it comes to croquetas, in the sense that, look at Dos Croquetas. I don't know if I would put his ham one in the top 5. But if we're doing a buffalo chicken croqueta spot where I'm craving something, he's the only one.
Right. And then actually that's a curveball right there, because if you're doing a list, is it just going to be the classic?
It would have to be.
Yeah.
It's not fair. Yeah. And then like there's a restaurant that might have like basically a truffles, cheese, and high-end croqueta, like how that you're charging $15 for. Qué rico. Or a jamón ibérico one, like a Spanish one. Yeah. How does that compare to a traditional ham Ventanita croqueta? Yeah. It's too hard. I've thought about this.
It's like, when you say that living in Miami sucks and traffic sucks, just remember you live in the land of croquetas. Mm-hmm. Because really, there's no other place like it.
And cafecito.
And cafecito.
An insane combo.
And cafecito. That's something you probably don't want to do either in your list, because you're going to get some. Well, actually, it's funny. It was the first season of our show. Mm-hmm. So this was 8 years ago. We had the Colada Boys.
I remember.
You remember them?
Yeah.
They don't really do much content anymore.
I don't think so, no.
So
they were like rating, right? They were rating. Best coladas.
So he came to my house. That's where we used to record at that time. And he was very like, you're not going to show me, right? Because part of their shtick was you couldn't show their identity. right? Because they would go to all these Ventanitas and have the thing. I'm like, no, bro, this is an audio podcast. Don't worry. And he was so protective of it because I'm like, you're reading Cafecito in Miami. Like, that's a lethal game you're playing. Like, people will freaking cut you.
Yeah, what we did with Cafecito, because I drink the 3-4 coffees a day.
Yeah.
And what we did over the winter time when it got cold for that 1 week.
We
took a thermometer and went to my favorite Cafecito spots and tried to rate, we rated how hot their cortados were.
That's legit.
So I would say like, oh, this one was my favorite taste wise, but it, hit this temperature. This one, I burned my mouth. Once it got a little bit cooler, this was good too, but it was if you want a hot one, but that's varies. That was just all like for fun.
Right.
Because that's just on like
them. So when you were taking the temperatures of these cafecitos, did it take you back to Torts when you were studying the McDonald's coffee case?
Literally, like they need the caution sign, like the caution on it. I'm like, wait, the styrofoam cup doesn't have caution on it. Like,
it's funny. I tell people this I mean, you studied torts in law school, so not most people don't know. I'm like, I was one of these people that before I went to law school, I'm like, ¿por qué le dieron esa vieja tanto dinero? And then when I read the case, I was like, oh shit,
yeah, she got messed up.
She got deformed.
Yeah.
And then McDonald's, or whoever, because it was a franchise, they were like, they had the coffee like 3 times or 2 times as much, and they knew about it. It was a whole big mess. But it's like, man. Speaking of McDonald's, something I really wanted to ask you. First of all, that new post you have with the hack, genius.
Thank you.
I have to try it.
Oh, you never done that?
I've never done that hack. I've never done that hack.
It's a classic, not with the spicy McChicken or the hot mustard, which if you hadn't seen the video, what I did is I got a daily double burger with a hot and spicy McChicken, added the patty, the McChicken into the burger, put the hot mustard on top of it, and there you go.
Since you have an in with the McDonald's, because I'm always telling Seth that he needs to do something for them to bring the fried apple pie back. Is there something you could do for them to bring like the snack wraps and all that stuff back?
I have an open petition for the snack wraps. You can go to petition.org and sign up. No, it's not mine, but I'm sure there's one up there.
The thing about the snack wrap is that sometimes you're really hungry and you get your burger.
You need something that resuelve, bro.
And you don't want to get a second burger. And you're kind of like, I need a little snack wrap.
A fried chicken tender in like a tortilla. Like that works with cheese.
I had heard they were going to bring it back, but then I heard they weren't. It's like McDonald's. Like,
I think they teased something that they were bringing it back, but was it in America? Because I haven't seen anything.
No.
I'm sure it will happen.
Why is it? I mean, I'm sure you travel. Why is it that like McDonald's, all fast food in Europe, gets so much better stuff?
I don't know why, but it's true.
It's like so much. I was in Italy this past summer and I was like, I mean, look at this. Like their menu is like twice as big and
there's like pesto and arugula in the French. Like,
I remember years ago when I was in college, I went to Greece and they had gyros at McDonald's. It was wild, the fact that they had gyros at McDonald's.
Instead of lamb meat, they use like the burger patties.
Yeah, I didn't have it. I'm like, who cares? They just have a gyro at McDonald's.
Oh, I would have been the first one in line. Like, what time they open?
I love how the ice cream in Puerto Rico is called mantecado
at the McDonald's.
Yeah, mantecado.
That's awesome.
So going back to fast food. Okay, so I want to go through a few fast food restaurants.
Okay.
To pick your brain. Like, what's your favorite McDonald's item?
Oh, I thought you meant like which one. I'm like the one on 87. Like, there's not one on 87, Sunbird Road, but that one. The item. Are we going to McDonald's or we're saying any fast food?
No, we're going to McDonald's. We're gonna go one by one.
A McChicken. If they have the hot and spicy one, a McChicken.
Oh, okay.
I know it's a curveball, but like it's either a quarter pounder or a McChicken.
I was not expecting the McChicken.
I usually get both.
How about Burger King?
I haven't been to Burger King in such a long time, and that's not a shot at them. It's just kind of like McDonald's is usually my go-to.
Yeah.
I would say a Whopper with a frozen Coke.
Frozen Coke.
Random.
You know what I love from Burger King? It's actually my
chicken fries?
My favorite item from any fast food restaurant. The original chicken sandwich.
The long one.
The long one.
The long way.
The long one, when that está acabado, that's it out of the fryer. It's true. That hits.
You know what? I changed my answer. That one.
That hits.
But I keep the
cut in half diagonally. Like, they don't do it anymore. They used to do it that was like the standard. But every time I order, I'm like, can you please cut it in half diagonally? Okay, how about Wendy's?
They're chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
The spicy ones I like.
Yeah, they hit. Yeah. They hit. What do you think about like these places like they don't have them here, like In-N-Out and all that? Overrated? Do we like them?
In and out, I think is overrated. The fries are like stale. I don't care what.
So do I.
Yeah, I don't care what you want to add to them. Their animal style sauce, whatever it is. Like the burger's fine. You know, I feel like consistency is tough. But I think it's fine. But I'd rather go to Shake Shack
For sure.
on top.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because I'm in and out. And every time I'm in LA, I'm like, I'm going to have, I always have in and out because I'm like, I'm going to give it another chance. Like, what am I missing? Because people like swear for this place. And don't está the secret menu. And I'm like, ¿pa qué tanto trabajo to order food?
And it's not even that secret either. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear that a new smash burger place opened up in Wynwood? I can't say that with a straight face.
On which street? Because there's like 2 on each street. And
it's like, listen, I love me a smash burger.
me too.
I love me, and some of the spots I have open have been great. I mean, who doesn't love Kawi?
I love Kawi.
Kawi. I mean, Kawi's great because it's funny. Kawi, when we started Pim Pam Pollo in the pop-up journey, they started more or less around the same time.
True, yeah.
And we would see them a lot at Jay Wakefield and, you know, top tier smash burger. But I'm like, coño, but what is it with Wynwood and smash burgers?
I mean, a lot of the pop-ups happened there, so they knew that they did well as a pop-up. So target audience research, you know, you're gonna do well in Wynwood.
Yeah.
I think everyone decided that at the same exact time. You sign the lease and then you're stuck.
It's like smash burgers come to West Kendall. I mean, or wherever.
There are like a few, and you're seeing more of it. It's just like people aren't really like,
Yeah, I sort of laugh. I'm like, oh yeah, did you hear a new smash burger place opened up in Wynwood? Okay, so it's midnight. We're wrapping up here, but it's midnight. These are like fire questions. So it's midnight. Where do you go?
If I'm home, I'll probably not go anywhere. But if I'm on my way
George,
home,
if you're gonna eat, you know,
Mary's Coin Laundry,
oh, okay,
pan con huite,
okay,
late night, or a fritanga on the way home, depending on how hungry I am.
wow, that's a commitment for.
Oh yeah,
for midnight.
Pinolandia is right across the street from Mary's Coin Laundry too, man, on 27th.
Okay, a morning breakfast.
Depends the morning, depends the location again, but either Isla Canaria, Tinta y Café, or Caracas Bakery.
Tinta and Café. Let me tell you something. I know you love that place.
I love that place.
That place is magic.
Yeah.
Those sandwiches.
Fantastic.
I'm like, what are you doing behind that counter?
And then you can turn the sandwiches into salads if you're trying to be healthy. Not that the salads are that much healthier, but something fresh, a little change of pace. Yeah. Then you have great pastries, fantastic coffee. What else do you want?
It's funny because I feel that they're one of those, if you know, you know. Because a lot of people know them,
yeah.
But you know, maybe because they're in the Gables and just a lot of people don't go there. But they really are. Wow.
Wait, they've been there 10 years.
Yeah,
10 years, and people listening might be hearing about it for the first time. And to me, that's crazy because I try to show them love as much as I can because I'm genuinely there every other weekend.
Yeah, 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? We always take at the beginning of every season, we take our season picture at like a different either bar or like Miami place. We did it at Tinta and Cafe because I'm like, man, people, again, they're popular. A lot of people know Tinta and Cafe. Yeah. They have long wait lines, but actually, you know what? I think it's better that way. You know?
You don't have to go.
It's better that way. Have you been, Junior? Oh, you gotta go.
See?
It's freaking, it's magic. What's your go-to there?
Ooh. I change it up every single time. Yeah. Depending on what my wife orders, I let her take the reign, and then we'll go half and half on whatever sandwich she picks. She usually goes with, I think, the cañita, I think it might be. It has I forgot which one, but it's on the fresher side. Then they have the madurito. That's my favorite, the most popular. Yeah. It's a little bit heavier though. But definitely a croqueta, a pastelito, and a coffee of some sort, depending on how I'm feeling.
Okay, so we want a nice steak dinner. Where are we going?
Listen, I think there could be more local steakhouses in Miami. I think the steak at Sonny's is my go-to right now.
Which one? So
Sonny's Steakhouse is the old Jaguar Sun team,
right?
Opened up in Little River. Sonny's Steakhouse, which has more than just steak. They have their Jaguar Sun favorites, but they have a great protein.
That bread
option.
looks fire.
The Parker House was incredible.
So I've been trying to go, and like I've only gotten spots like, you know, Wednesday at 10.
And you still didn't go?
So now, no. I like got a reservation for like, I don't know, a Friday or Saturday, like a month ahead or a month and a half, some crazy amount of time ahead. What I know they have different steaks there. What's
they're Their cheapest steak there is their hanger steak. And when I went for the first time, I don't know if prices changed because the times, I think it was like $38, which I feel like is a very good price.
Yeah, that's
that you
reasonable.
could get a good steak. Like hanger's not the best cut, but like it still tasted fantastic.
If cooked well.
Great drinks, great hospitality, and you could be out of there under $100.
I mean, the fact that that's a nice restaurant and you could be there at under 100 or at 100, I mean, that
you most likely won't be, because like you're gonna see things on the menu or like, oh, I want that too, that too, and it adds up, especially if you're drinking. But they have other cuts like their porterhouse, the ribeye, everything is great there.
Okay, so we want to break the bank. Where are we going?
Claw is probably up there.
Okay, yeah.
Claw is probably up there.
Wait till I get my American Express bill.
Yeah. Claw is up there. Surf Club couldn't be up there. Itamai in Midtown can be up there. Shingo is up there, but now we're, I think, a different tax bracket. I think it's like 150 or 200 a person.
Right.
But that one's a great omakase. More traditional. We were just in Japan this summer, and that was the closest thing that I think to
You were in Japan?
Yes.
How was that?
Fantastic.
Like food wise, like
incredible. Like in Japan, hospitality isn't a service, it's a way of life.
Right.
So you're walking around the street and you look like you're in need or in help or just like lost. The random pedestrian will try their best to help you, just because that's the culture. And I think if you're someone in hospitality, just being there, you learn so much from just like how to handle situations and just people. Because
I just feel like, I mean, obviously it's a very different culture. And I've heard that as well as like the Japanese, how great they are in terms of hospitality. I've heard that a lot. But Japanese food, especially, we love Japanese food. Obviously it's one of those things that like, I would love also to go to Japan to compare the two, like the American Japanese food versus the legit Japanese food. Like they're a real take on sushi and sashimi and all that.
It's still not like, we're not too far off here in Miami. If we're in middle America, maybe it might be different. Luckily, we're near the water. We're with Japanese chefs. We're with people that have been to Japan, restaurant owners, whatever it may be. So it's not completely far off, but there are some cuts of meat, of Kobe beef, of tuna, of the otoro. It's just like that extra day that is traveling to us, even if it's from Japan, makes that slightest of a difference that it like really melts in your mouth.
I would love, I mean, one of the many things I want to have when I go to Japan is the A5 Wagyu, but the olive one.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so much video, like content of it. I'm like, I need to have the one with the greenish tint.
It's
the olives.
Everything there is just so good, man. Yeah. Like it's worth the hype, if whatever hype there is.
It's funny because like when you travel, I mean, I hate when people just rag on the U.S. food scene and U.S. food just because, right? But I think that the big difference when you travel is that a lot of times just the simplest things are just incredible. This last summer when I was in Italy, and I had been to Italy several times before, but I went in like my early 20s. And I think that once you're older is when you really appreciate it and understand it. So my quest was, I should have done one of your videos for it, was to find the perfect carbonara.
Okay, that's tough.
Yeah, because 4 ingredients, you mess it up and you get scrambled eggs with pasta.
Yep.
And just like so simple and so amazing, so cheap, by the way. And that's just one of the things, especially with like food in Europe, that sometimes like the simplest things
pan con tomate in Spain versus having it here.
Yeah.
It's all ingredients and preservatives and all those things that we have that they don't have.
Yeah.
And where we're going to, think about it. When we're on vacation, we're not trying to go to our neighborhood spot that is getting their food from Restaurant Depot, which is fine for a random Friday night in. But we're going to the busiest spot in their populated area, which they're going to be sourcing, like many of our restaurants do, from their farms or from the produce, the farmers market. So it's also, we have to understand that we're going into an area where it's expected and the turnaround is so well that like they're gonna sell whatever product that they get to probably an American.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sushi, where are we going for sushi?
Matsuri. Should I say it all? Matsuri. And now the line's gonna be an extra hour.
That's where we're going to sushi.
Matsuri, but there's also other great spots like Yasu Tanaka in downtown and in Design District. He has a la carte, but also has an omakase. Shingo for an omakase. There's some other ones too. And every time I give a recommendation, by the way, I'm not forgetting the people I think that they're bad. There're just so many good spots, and that's why I have the map, because it really lays out like all my recommendations.
Yeah, sushi for me would be, a little while ago when I asked you break the bank, would be breaking the bank, because like I'm like 10 rolls later, I'm like, even though I don't eat them all, I need to try this roll, and it's like forgot the price.
Yeah, I love it.
Any other shout outs you want to give, like certain places that we should be really checking out, or underdogs, or all that?
Oh man, there's so many. I love right now breakfast Casa Bake. I also forgot to mention them. Casa Bake, the most authentic, best French bakery in the warehouses right here off the Palmetto and Bird. Incredible French pastries. Like I want to go to Casa Bake, get a box of pastries, get on a plane, go to France, and it still be a day old, and compare it to French pastries. Like I think they're that good.
Wow. Damn. You heard it here.
Yeah.
Okay. So this would be, let's wrap it up with this question.
We've wrapped it up 3 times, by the way. We can keep going.
Okay.
No,
well, but
I'm down. I'm down. Like if that's,
we're really going to wrap it up with this question.
All right.
Okay. So you're sending someone a care package, right? It could be someone wherever in Canada and Europe and wherever. You're sending them a care package to embody the taste of Miami, whatever that may mean for you. What are we putting in that box?
Ping pong boil. I'm kidding.
I mean,
no. He paid me to say that.
Yeah,
end the video.
Thank you, everybody. Well, we do have our guava and cheese wings,
Those are fantastic if you haven't had them. Assuming the food doesn't like get cold or do all that, you have to start with some Isla Canaria and some sort of Cuban coffee. Not necessarily having it to be from Isla Canaria. There are other great Sweet Havana Cafe. Probably send the beans, because they also do they have their own beans. I would hate for it to just be like a Cuban care package, because Miami is so diverse and there's so much more to it, that I would hate for it to just be like, all right, and then go to Sandwich and go to.
That's why I told you, taste of Miami, whatever.
No, I know. So to me, it's like, that's why I love let me say that again. That's why I love Miami so much, because like it's so different. Like once you escape from the little bubble that is Westchester or Kendall, whatever that may be, like you have Little Haiti, and you can go deep into like Haitian food, which is fantastic. Pack Supermarket, they call it dirty chicken. The chicken wings there are incredible. It's more like fried chicken, like a turkey leg type style thing. $7 and it's a completa essentially. So I would send them a plane ticket to come to Miami and eat with me for like 2 days.
He circumvented that question like a lawyer. So, okay, wait. Cuban sandwich.
Yeah.
Salami, no salami.
We're not in Tampa.
I don't hate salami. It's like, I'm not going to hate the Cuban sandwich with salami, because it's salami. Who doesn't like salami? But it's like, don't mess with me with that. Like, come on now. I'm sorry, Colombia. I know you're the oldest Spanish restaurant in like the United States. It doesn't have salami.
Yeah, call it something different. Call it Cuban sandwich with salami.
There we go. So, okay, that was it. That was it for real. Oh yeah, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you. We learned a lot, and as George said, most of you follow him anyway, but check out his food map. It really is an asset. There's just so much there, and obviously, keep going with your content. And we wish you, you've done really well, but just keep doing what you're doing, because it's very representative of Miami and all that. And you've always really kept it 305
wherever I go, always.
And now more than ever, we got to keep that 305 alive. So thank you so much for being on our show.
I appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions, recommendations, please share them. I'm very active in my inboxes, so feel free to DM me. And remember, don't take a bite without me.
See you later, guys. On with that.
Let's go.